Tonight everything feels volatile. Every spread looks like a trap, every total feels like a setup, and every matchup on the board has that one explosive detail hiding beneath the surface. This isn't just another slate of NBA games. This is the type of night where sharp bettors separate from the crowd. So buckle in, because we're breaking down every angle, every mismatch, every injury swing, and every betting edge the books hope you overlook. Welcome to Beyond the Box Score, where we don't just predict games, we expose them. The night begins with a sense of urgency in Charlotte, where the Milwaukee Bucks walk into Spectrum Center carrying the confidence of a team that has discovered balance record. Milwaukee steps onto the floor knowing exactly who they are: efficient, disciplined, and versatile. The Hornets, sitting at 3-7 and 2-3 at home, feel like a team caught between flashes of potential and long stretches of uncertainty, weighed down by a three-game skid that threatens to drag them deeper into the Eastern Conference abyss. Milwaukee rests fifth in the East, rising steadily behind a 65.2% win projection that mirrors their growing sense of structure. Charlotte, meanwhile, clings to 12th, knowing this is the kind of early season game that can shift a team's self-belief or crush what remains of it. For them, this matchup carries more weight than the standings suggest. It represents a chance to halt a slide, reclaim identity, and finally find their footing before the season begins to slip away. Milwaukee enters with an identity built on precision, efficiency, and patience. They average 119.6 points per game on 50.2% shooting, a testament to a balanced attack that blends strong interior finishing with reliable mid-range scoring from Kyle Kuzma and physical dominance from Miles Turner. Their offense isn't just high scoring, it's connected. With 26.3 assists per night, the Bucks move the ball with purpose, trusting spacing and disciplined cuts to create seams that Giannis Antetokounmpo and company exploit with force. Their rebounding, 41 per game, keeps possessions alive, while their defensive pressure, 8.1 steals and 5.1 blocks per contest, reflects a team with length and anticipation layered throughout the rotation. Charlotte, on the other hand, plays with speed but lacks the structure to sustain efficiency. Despite averaging 118.2 points, their 47.2% shooting clip and porous defense, allowing 121 per game, reveal a team whose pace often outstrips their defensive consistency. Their rebounding, an impressive 46.3 per game, keeps them competitive on the glass, but their transition coverage and perimeter containment remain glaring weaknesses. Too often, they break rhythm on defensive rotations and give opponents open looks that swing momentum away from them. The stakes are clear: precision versus pace, structure versus volatility. Milwaukee's last 5 games paint a picture of increasing cohesion. They've gone 4-1, taking down Dallas, Houston, and Chicago, before splitting battles with Toronto and Indiana. Over that stretch, they've averaged 122 points and sharpened their late-game execution, signs of a team locking into form. Charlotte's recent stretch tells the opposite story: turbulence, inconsistency, and double-digit losses to the Lakers, Heat, and Timberwolves. Their offense, electrifying early in games, often fades late, while defensive lapses in switches and rotations continue to haunt them. LaMelo Ball shines with brilliance, but his supporting cast struggles to find rhythm from deep or maintain composure when the game slows. They enter desperate not just for a win, but for a reset, a moment to redefine themselves before the losses pile too high. And yet, the spotlight turns toward one of the league's most compelling individual duels: Giannis Antetokounmpo versus LaMelo Ball. The contrast could not be more striking. Giannis plays as though chiseling a masterpiece every night, powering through defenders with 33.4 points, 11.9 rebounds, and 6.2 assists per game on a blistering 62.9% shooting. He bends defensive schemes with sheer force and patience, collapsing coverage and creating open looks for teammates. Ball, meanwhile, brings his own brand of brilliance, a blend of creativity, vision, and unpredictable pace. He averages 23.3 points, 9.8 assists, and 7.8 rebounds while hitting 43% from the field. His ability to manipulate defenders, shift tempo, and spark momentum gives Charlotte life. But the burden on his shoulders is immense. When he sits, the offense stalls, and the Hornets lose identity. The duel becomes both magnetic and symbolic. Giannis imposing dominance, Ball orchestrating chaos. If Ball controls tempo and finds rhythm early, Charlotte becomes dangerous. But if Milwaukee dictates pace through interior control and defensive discipline, the edge swings sharply toward the Bucks. After analyzing both teams, the advantage leans clearly toward Milwaukee. The structure, balance, and efficiency give them the tools to control pace, exploit Charlotte's interior gaps, and force Ball into more contested setups. Turner and Kuzma's length disrupts driving lanes. Ryan Rollins' 1.9 steals per game adds perimeter intensity. On the other side, Charlotte must rely on transition bursts and early offense to keep Milwaukee from settling. Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller need to stretch the Bucks' defense with quick trigger shots, while Ryan Kalkbrenner's 2.3 blocks per game must challenge Giannis at the rim. The benches may determine momentum, with Bobby Portis and AJ Green offering reliable two-way production for Milwaukee, while Charlotte depends on streaky contributions from Trey Mann and Nick Smith. Ultimately, Milwaukee's discipline outweighs Charlotte's unpredictability. Expect the Bucks to control the tempo, execute inside-out offense, and extend Charlotte's skid. Prediction: Milwaukee Bucks winner. Total pick: over 228.5. The energy shifts east toward Boston, where the Memphis Grizzlies arrive looking to break the slide that has kept them from finding early season stability. At 4-7 and 1-2 on the road, Memphis walks into TD Garden knowing a statement win could flip their trajectory. Boston, sitting at 5-6, sits fourth in the Atlantic Division and seeks to build momentum after snapping a rough stretch with a recent win. The matchup predictor tilts heavily toward Boston at 67.9%, a reflection of home court strength and steadier form. But Memphis brings a wild card, a star capable of shifting momentum in seconds. The collision becomes a measuring stick moment. Boston trying to rise back above .500, Memphis trying to prove that their record is not indicative of their potential. Memphis' style is built on speed, downhill pressure, and transition urgency. They average 113.7 points per game but allow 118.6, creating a volatile blend of offensive energy and defensive instability. Their shooting at 43.8% is streaky, and their turnovers, 14.1 per game, often derail momentum. Yet their rebounding, 43.6 per game, keeps them alive in most matchups. Boston enters with a steadier, more structured approach, averaging 112.8 points while shooting 44.9%, and allowing just 110.4, a testament to their defensive consistency. Their 42.4 rebounds and 23.3 assists per game show the balance they strive for, though offensive inconsistency in tight games has plagued them. The clash becomes a matter of tempo control. Memphis wants chaos, speed, and transition pressure, while Boston wants half-court execution, spacing, and defensive discipline. Recent form reflects urgency on one side and opportunity on the other. Memphis has dropped 4 of its last 5, losing nail-biters to Dallas, Detroit, and Toronto, games where late-game defense and rebounding cost them. Their offense has held steady at 112 per game in that stretch, but defensive structure continues to wobble. Boston, meanwhile, has gone 5-5 in their last 10 but enters with newfound confidence after holding Orlando to 107 in their most recent home victory. Before that, they allowed 123 and 128 points in back-to-back losses, a sign of vulnerability. But that win over Orlando showcased sharper rotations, stronger rebounding, and better communication. Memphis walks in searching for rhythm, Boston walks in hungry to capitalize. The star duel between Ja Morant and Jaylen Brown sparks the storyline. Morant, returning with explosive energy, averages 19.2 points, 7.9 assists, and 1.2 steals on 35.8% shooting and an elite 94.9% from the line. He drives tempo, pressure, and unpredictability. Brown counters with controlled dominance, 28 points per game on 52.2% shooting and 78.5% from the stripe. His blend of physical scoring, balance, and mid-range control gives Boston a reliable half-court weapon. Derek White adds 14.9 points and 5.1 assists, while Nemias Queta anchors with 7.9 rebounds. Memphis leans on Jaren Jackson Jr.'s 11.8 points and 5.5 rebounds, though his inconsistency affects flow. The contrast between Morant's chaotic brilliance and Brown's poised precision promises fireworks. The question becomes simple: which star can stay efficient under defensive pressure? After analyzing both teams, Boston takes the edge. Their defensive structure and perimeter rotations give them the tools to absorb Morant's drives and force Memphis into more contested mid-range attempts. Their rim protection with Queta and timely help defense from White has kept opponents under 45% shooting. Memphis, with depth issues stemming from absences like Brandon Clark and Ty Jerome, must rely heavily on Santi Aldama's 12 points per game and Jock Landale's 10.9. On the other end, Boston's spacing with Brown, White, and Peyton Pritchard, who's adding 15.5 points, stretches Memphis thin. Rebounding and turnovers decide this contest. Boston has the advantage in discipline, Memphis has volatility. In the end, Boston's composure, physicality, and shot making should prevail. Prediction: Boston Celtics winner. Total pick: over 224.5. The story continues in New Orleans, where the Portland Trail Blazers bring a sense of stability that stands in stark contrast to the Pelicans' struggling identity. Portland sits at 5-5, ninth in the West, and has found a dependable rhythm early in the season. New Orleans, at 2-8 and last in the Southwest Division, searches desperately for a spark that can halt an early season freefall. Despite the Pelicans playing at home, the matchup predictor leans heavily toward Portland, a nod to their depth, structure, and scoring balance. For New Orleans, this game becomes another test of whether effort can finally translate into execution. Portland's offense hums with rhythm and consistency, averaging 120.6 points per game on 44.6% shooting. Their 26.1 assists reflect a connected offense that moves the ball until a clean look emerges. Defensively, they allow 119.3 points, but they compensate with pressure, 10.6 steals, and rebounding at 43.2 per night. Deni Avdija has emerged as their offensive anchor, averaging 25.5 points and 6.8 rebounds on 47% from the field and 85.7% from the line. Jeremy Grant and Shaedon Sharpe provide scoring bursts, while Donovan Clingan secures the interior with 8.8 boards and 1.3 blocks. Veteran Drew Holiday orchestrates with 8.1 assists and 1.7 steals. Providing a stabilizing foundation, New Orleans enters with struggles on both ends. They average only 108 points per game while allowing 121.3. Their 43.3% shooting and 41.9 rebounds lag behind Portland. Their ball movement, just 22.2 assists, reveals a lack of cohesion. Trey Murphy 3 leads with 18.1 points, 7 rebounds, and 3.6 assists on 43.4% shooting and over 90% from the line. Zion Williamson, when available, adds 22.8 points and 6.8 boards in 5 games, but the lack of a stable supporting cast, especially with Jordan Poole and DeJounte Murray sidelined, forces role players into high-usage situations they struggle to thrive in. Portland's recent losses have been narrow heartbreakers, 115-112 and 136-131, signaling a competitive team capable of matching any opponent. They've won 5 of their last 10 and posted 120-plus points in 3 of their last 5 outings. Their offense travels, their spacing holds, and their execution in close games remains steady. The Pelicans, meanwhile, have dropped 8 of their last 10, including a deflating 121-98 loss to Phoenix and a 126-119 defeat to San Antonio. Their lone bright moment came in a 101-99 win against Dallas, but defensive lapses and late-game breakdowns continue to define their season. They've been outscored by double digits in 3 of their last 5. The duel between Avdija and Murphy offers intrigue. One thrives on patience and controlled half-court tempo, the other on rhythm, range, and spacing. Avdija's efficiency at 25.5 points on 54% shooting drives Portland's stability, while Murphy's 2.8 threes per game at 37% ignites New Orleans when they find flow. Yet, the deciding factors sit off the stars. Grant's mid-range reliability and Herbert Jones' perimeter pressure create a fascinating chess match. Bench scoring should tilt toward Portland, whose second unit moves with more chemistry compared to New Orleans' inconsistent reserves. Coaching composure also favors Portland, whose late-game sets carry more clarity and intention. Prediction: Portland Trail Blazers winner. Total pick: over 226.5. The final battle of the night unfolds in Oklahoma City, where the Thunder, at a scorching 10-1, await the 8-3 Los Angeles Lakers in what feels like a preview of future Western playoff intensity. Paycom Center buzzes with anticipation. Oklahoma City stands perfect at home, leading the Northwest, while the Lakers sit atop the Pacific Division and have won 8 of their last 10. Both wield elite scoring, deep rotations, and superstar power, but the win probability leans heavily toward the Thunder, a testament to their structure, two-way balance, and relentless pace. Oklahoma City averages 122.4 points, suffocates opponents with 10.5 steals and 5.4 blocks, and dominates the boards with 48.1 rebounds. Their 47.1% shooting efficiency and +1-3 margin of victory underscore a team clicking on every level. The Lakers, despite ranking among the league's most efficient offenses at 118.1 points on 51.2% shooting, struggle on the boards with 40.2 rebounds and allow 116.5 points. Their strengths lie in half-court precision and Luka Doncic's commanding brilliance, but defensive lapses and injuries, LeBron James, Gabe Vincent, and Adu Torrio, challenge their ability to keep pace with OKC's speed and tenacity. Momentum leans sharply toward the Thunder. They've beaten Memphis, Sacramento, Portland, the Clippers, and New Orleans by double digits. Their last 10 games show dominance in rhythm, spacing, and chemistry. The Lakers, despite a 4-1 recent record and a steady offensive flow, show signs of vulnerability on defense. They must contain OKC's pace without LeBron's stabilizing presence, a difficult task against a team that thrives on transition chaos and mismatches. The star showdown is electric. Luka Doncic dazzles with 37.1 points, 9.4 rebounds, and 9.1 assists on 49% shooting, controlling tempo with craft, strength, and manipulation. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander answers with 33.2 points, 6 assists, and 5.2 rebounds on 52% shooting and 90% from the line. Holmgren adds 19.1 points and 8.6 rebounds, while Isaiah Hartenstein contributes 11.8 boards. DeAndre Ayton counters with 30.6 points and 9 rebounds, giving the Lakers needed interior scoring but not enough to match OKC's length, speed, and versatility. After analyzing both teams, the Thunder hold the advantage. Their pace, defensive pressure, and depth allow them to dictate terms. Expect them to pull Ayton away from the rim using Holmgren's spacing, opening lanes for Shai to attack. The Lakers will try to slow tempo and rely heavily on Doncic's manipulation of the half-court, but without LeBron's secondary creation, the burden becomes enormous. Austin Reeves' 19.1 points and Marcus Smart's two-way presence must rise to meet the challenge. Rebounding tilts heavily toward OKC, whose 48 boards per game should give them second-chance opportunities and transition fuel. Their bench unit plays with energy, versatility, and pressure, an edge over Los Angeles' thinned rotation. Prediction: Oklahoma City Thunder winner. Total pick: over 228.5. If you got value tonight, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment to support the channel. It helps way more than you think, and it keeps us dropping these deep dive breakdowns every single day. Let's cash tonight, stay disciplined, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.